Hey guys, Bert here, back with our weekly Q&A. This week's question comes from Scarlet and James from Portland, Maine. And they write, we've just been given a license to operate our food wagon at the entry point to one of the most popular camping grounds at Casco Bay. We have a team of Clydesdales and we will offer great food samples from the famous restaurants in Portland, as well as gourmet camping fare, lunch bags to go, etc. We want to have a huge launch for the first weekend of May. How can we make this launch make the local news and newspapers? Phenomenal question, right? So I think what you're, really asking is, how can we get a lot of people here and a lot of people knowing that we exist, right? And one of the ways that you can do this is by leveraging PR, public relations, right? So there's free marketing that you can do that just takes time. There's paid marketing that you can do. And then there's also public relations, which just takes a lot of strategy, okay? So getting on the news or being in local newspapers, it's normally not by accident, right? People plan on trying to be there proactively. So what you basically have to do is you have to create a news story, right? So the question becomes, how does your food wagon at this entry point to the popular campgrounds, how can that correlate into something that's newsworthy, okay? And you might be thinking, well, it's our grand opening. Well, everybody's got a grand opening happening at some point, I'm sure, every month in your community, right? To smaller communities, maybe that is newsworthy, but in larger communities, it's probably not. So what you have to do is you have to take a step back and think about what is of interest to the public, okay? So basically, you're trying to connect something that would be considered newsworthy where you're not plugging your business, but then somehow you're able to tie in your business into the story, okay? So I'm shooting from the hip here, so just bear with me, I'm making this up. So you're talking about having a huge launch the first weekend of May, and you're in Portland, Maine, right? So I'm assuming that the weather is starting to turn, meaning it's becoming warmer in May. So perhaps you can talk about how, hypothetically, and again, I'm making this up, but with the weather improving, more and more people are getting into their spring and summer routines. One of the popular campgrounds at Casco Bay is expecting, hundreds of people coming in this weekend. And in addition, there's going to be a whole bunch of new things that are happening there, including, and then plug your business, right? So you're trying to create news is really what you're doing. And the way you would reach out to the news media, most of them have a news tips page on their websites where you can simply submit your news tip, which should probably be in press release form. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And when you do that, should limit it really to less than 400 or 500 words. They don't want to read a lot. They just want to determine whether it's newsworthy, because you are competing against other companies and other stories for that space. And I would reach out to as many media outlets as possible. If you reach out to 5 and 1 picks you up, fantastic. If you reach out to 5 and 5 pick you up, even better, right? But be careful with this one tip here. Many of times you only get the opportunity to pitch a different news outlet once. Then if they see, continued press releases or news tips coming in over and over and over again from you, you're probably going to lose credibility. So I'll tell you what, Scarlet and James, we are going to have a one-on-one conversation, coaching call, and we'll brainstorm a little bit more, see if we can refine this idea and get together a press release for you so you can have a huge, huge launch, okay? So guys, the reason that I'm giving Scarlet and James this free coaching session is because their question was selected this week for me to read in front of you all. So if you'd like a chance at a free coaching session, or if you just want to get your question answered, submit your question here on this page, and we'll answer it. If we select the question to be answered via video, you do win a free coaching session. Okay, so Scarlet, James, everybody else out there, have a wonderful week. Be super, super productive, and I'll talk to you next week.